Napoleon Bonaparte, the man known to history by this name, was born on 15th of August 1769 in the town of Ajaccio on the Mediterranean island of Corsica. For centuries, Corsica had been part of the Republic of Genoa, but just prior to Napoleon's birth, it had been incorporated into the Kingdom of France. His father, Carlo Bonaparte, was a prominent lawyer and politician who also served as an aide and close associate to Pasquale Paoli, the leading Corsican nationalist of the late 18th century, an individual who had fought to free the island from Genoese and French rule. As we shall see, the Corsican independence movement profoundly shaped Napoleon's life and political outlook well into his mid-20s. His mother, Maria Letizia Bonaparte, née Ramolino, came from a family of Italian origin. Like the Bonapartes, the Ramolinos traced their roots to the Lombardy region of northern Italy. Her father had been a minor official and military officer who commanded the garrison of Ajaccio before his death in the mid-1750s. Afterward, her mother remarried a Swiss officer serving in the Genoese navy. As a result, Napoleon hailed from a family that included influential Corsican officials and military figures from both sides of his lineage. Maria Letizia married Carlo in June 1764, when she was only about 15 and Carlo was 18. He had left the University of Pisa on the Italian mainland to return to Corsica and enter what was effectively an arranged marriage designed to strengthen ties between two leading Corsican families. Napoleon was the fourth of the couple's 13 children. In an era marked by very high infant mortality, only 8 of these children survived infancy. Maria Letizia's first 2 children were among the 5 who did not survive. Growing up, Napoleon had only one older sibling, his brother Joseph, born in January 1768. The surviving siblings were 4 brothers, Lucien, Louis, and Jérôme, born in 1775, 1778, and 1784 respectively, and 3 sisters, Maria Anna, Pauline, and Caroline, born in 1777, 1780, and 1782. Napoleon's 7 surviving siblings later played significant roles in his life and, by extension, in European politics, as he elevated them to positions of immense power and prestige following his own rise to prominence. Collectively, they would become 3 kings: 1 sovereign prince, a queen, a sovereign princess, and a grand duchess. Napoleon's nepotism toward his kin reflected a close-knit family dynamic, one he later attributed to the influence of his mother, whom he described as a remarkable and disciplined figure. Of its history, only changing this in the 1790s, when Napoleon was well into his 20s, the family belonged to the Italian minor nobility. The paternal line originated from the Italian mainland, with roots in Florence and the greater Tuscany region, extending northward toward Liguria, the northwestern coastal region near Genoa. The Buonaparte family, whose name means good part or good side, maintained connections in this area dating back to at least the 13th century. Napoleon seldom discussed his Italian heritage in later years, though when he did, he expressed a sense of pride, claiming to be an heir of the ancient Romans. The family's associations with Corsica began in the 15th century, when Francesco Buonaparte, a condottiero, a mercenary commander, settled there while serving as a contractor for the Genoese Bank of St. George. The Republic of Genoa had controlled Corsica since the late 13th century. There, Francesco married into the Ajaccio establishment, and over generations, the Buonaparte family became one of the island's most prominent by the 18th century. Although the republican and commercial nature of the Genoese Republic did not allow for the granting of noble titles, this changed under French rule. In 1771, just a few weeks after Napoleon's 2nd birthday, his father, Carlo Bonaparte, was granted a minor noble title by the French monarchy. Despite this swift concession, it is important to recognize that the Bonaparte family remained essentially of Italian origin and, at the time of Napoleon's birth, held Corsican nationalist sympathies. Finally, Napoleon's early life cannot be fully understood without considering the modern history of Corsica. The island had come under Genoese control during the 13th century, yet by the early 18th century, Corsican nationalist sentiment had begun to rise. Corsicans revolted against Genoese rule between 1729 and 1736 and briefly established the Kingdom of Corsica under Theodore von Neuhoff. Later, in 1755, Pasquale Paoli proclaimed the Corsican Republic, adopting a constitution inspired by Enlightenment ideals. Although this period of autonomy was short-lived, France annexed Corsica in 1768-1769. It left a lasting imprint on Corsican identity and nationalism. In 1755, Pasquale Paoli effectively expelled the Genoese from Corsica and promulgated a new Corsican constitution. Although Genoa refused to relinquish control and the Corsican Republic did not gain widespread recognition from other European powers, Corsica was, for the most part, an independent nation from 1755 until the late 1760s, just before Napoleon was born. Ultimately, the assertion of this independence became the undoing of the Corsican nationalist movement. As early as 1764, Genoa had sought French aid to reconquer Corsica from what it viewed as rebellious subjects. However, geopolitical priorities shifted, and in 1768, Genoa signed the Treaty of Versailles, ceding Corsica to France in exchange for the cancellation of debts owed to the French Wikipedia Napoleon.org. France, concerned that Britain might acquire Corsica and gain naval bases less than 200 kilometers from its southern coast, acted quickly. Within weeks of the treaty, French forces invaded the island. The Corsicans, lacking sufficient fleet, artillery, and manpower, were unable to resist the French advance. With Britain refusing to intervene on behalf of Corsican nationalists, France secured control of the island within months. The decisive moment came at the Battle of Ponte Novo in early May 1769, after which Pasquale Paoli fled to Britain and Corsica fell completely under French control. Wiki Militar, Historia Wikipedia, Napoleon.org+1. Meanwhile, just weeks before Napoleon's birth, Corsican nationalism still thrived on the island and remained the dominant political ideology of his early years. Napoleon Bonaparte, even as a young boy, was deeply influenced by the works of Jean-Jacques Rousseau, the renowned French Enlightenment philosopher. Despite being the second-born, Napoleon exhibited a stronger will than his older brother Joseph, a dynamic that Joseph did not contest in later years. Their childhood in Corsica was relatively happy, but was abruptly disrupted when Napoleon was sent to mainland France as part of the Gallicization policy, aiming to integrate Corsica more closely with France. At the time of Napoleon's birth in 1769, France was an absolute monarchy under King Louis XVI, who ascended the throne in 1774 at the age of 20. The French monarchy was characterized by centralized power, with no parliament convened since 1614. Louis XV's reign began during a period of significant challenges for France, including financial crises and social unrest, which would later contribute to the French Revolution in 1789. Corsica, Napoleon's birthplace, had been under Genoese control until 1768, when it was ceded to France via the Treaty of Versailles. The Corsican nationalist movement, led by Pasquale Paoli, had sought independence but was suppressed by French forces, culminating in the Battle of Ponte Novo in 1769. This shift from Corsican independence to French rule profoundly impacted Napoleon's early life and political outlook. Let me know if you need further details or a different focus. Napoleon Bonaparte was born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, shortly after the island was ceded to France by the Republic of Genoa. He was the second surviving child of Carlo Buonaparte, a lawyer descended from Tuscan nobility, and Maria Letizia Ramolino, from a noble family of Lombard origin. The Bonaparte family had settled in Corsica in the 16th century and had established themselves as prominent figures on the island. ngvvic.gov.au, Encyclopedia Britannica. Napoleon's early life was marked by the political upheaval following Corsica's annexation by France. His father initially supported the Corsican independence movement led by Pasquale Paoli, but later aligned with the French authorities, securing a position as Corsica's representative at the court of King Louis XVI in 1777. At the age of 9, Napoleon moved to mainland France to further his education. He attended a religious school in Autun to improve his French and later transferred to the military academy at Brienne-le-Château. Despite facing bullying due to his accent and background, he excelled in mathematics and developed a passion for history and military strategy. In 1784, Napoleon enrolled at the École Militaire in Paris, where he trained to become an artillery officer. His father's death in 1785 led to financial difficulties, prompting him to complete the 2-year course in 1 year. He graduated in 1786, becoming the first Corsican to do so. Wikipedia +2 FrenchEmpire.net +2. Napoleon's upbringing in a family of Italian origin with strong Corsican roots, combined with the island's complex political landscape, profoundly influenced his worldview and ambitions. His early education in Saga, France further shaped his military prowess and leadership qualities, setting the stage for his future as a prominent figure in European history. Napoleon Bonaparte, born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, was a figure deeply influenced by his Corsican heritage. His family, the Bonapartes, hailed from minor Italian nobility with ancestral ties to Tuscany and Liguria. They settled in Corsica in the late 15th century, where they became prominent figures in the island's administration. Napoleon's early life was marked by the turbulent political landscape of Corsica. His father, Carlo Buonaparte, initially supported the Corsican nationalist leader Pasquale Paoli during the island's struggle for independence from Genoese and later French control. However, following the French conquest of Corsica in 1769, Carlo shifted allegiance to the French, securing a minor noble title and a position at the court of King Louis XVI. Wikipedia. In 1779, at the age of 9, Napoleon was sent to mainland France as part of a policy to integrate Corsican nobility into French society. He enrolled at the Royal Military School in Brienne, where he began his military education. Despite his family's assimilation into French culture, Napoleon retained his Corsican identity throughout his life. He spoke French with a Corsican accent and maintained a strong connection to his homeland. The New Yorker Wikipedia +1. Napoleon's early experiences in Corsica and his family's complex relationship with French rule profoundly influenced his worldview and political ambitions. While he rose to prominence as a military leader and emperor of France, his Corsican roots remained a significant aspect of his identity. Napoleon Bonaparte's early education in mainland France was pivotal in shaping his identity and future. Born in Corsica in 1769, he was sent to France at the age of 9 to receive a French education, a policy part of the Gallicization efforts following Corsica's annexation by France. His initial schooling began at a religious school in Autun, where he faced challenges due to his Corsican origin, including bullying and isolation. Despite these hardships, he excelled academically, particularly in mathematics. In May 1779, he transferred to the Royal Military School at Brienne-le-Château, a prestigious institution for the children of the nobility. There, he continued to demonstrate his academic prowess, especially in subjects like history and geography, and honed skills in fencing, music, and drawing. However, his time at Brienne was marked by personal struggles, including continued bullying and a sense of alienation due to his accent and background. Nevertheless, he persisted, and upon completing his studies in 1784, he was admitted to the École Militaire in Paris, where he specialized in artillery. His education at these institutions laid the foundation for his future military career and his complex relationship with both French and Corsican identities. Napoleon Bonaparte's early life was marked by his Corsican heritage and the French policy of Gallicization. Born in 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica, he was the second son of Carlo Buonaparte and Maria Letizia Ramolino. His father, a former supporter of Corsican independence under Pasquale Paoli, adapted to French rule by accepting a minor French noble title in the early 1770s. This shift allowed Napoleon to pursue education in mainland France. Wikipedia: at the age of 9, Napoleon left Corsica to attend a religious school in Autun, then moved to the Royal Military School at Brienne-le-Château in 1779. Despite initial challenges, including bullying due to his accent and origins, he excelled academically, particularly in mathematics, history, and geography. His dedication earned him a place at the École Militaire in Paris, where he specialized in artillery. He graduated in 1785, becoming the first Corsican to do so. Wikipedia +2 Lumen Learning +2. Throughout his education, Napoleon's Corsican identity remained strong. He admired Paoli and was deeply influenced by Corsican nationalism. This dual identity would later shape his political and military strategies as he navigated the complexities of French and Corsican allegiances. In summary, Napoleon's formative years were characterized by a blend of Corsican pride and adaptation to French institutions, setting the stage for his future endeavors. Napoleon Bonaparte's early life was marked by significant challenges and transformative experiences that shaped his character and ambitions. Born in 1769 in Ajaccio, Corsica, he was sent to mainland France at the age of 9 to pursue his education. Initially enrolled in a religious school in Autun, Napoleon faced bullying due to his Corsican accent and foreign origins. Despite these hardships, he excelled academically, particularly in mathematics, history, and geography. Find a Grave +5 Encyclopedia Britannica, +5 Museums, Victoria Collections, +5, Wikipedia, +1. In May 1779, Napoleon transferred to the Royal Military School in Brienne-le-Château, where he spent 5 years. There, he continued to face social isolation but developed a deep interest in the sciences and military strategy. His dedication to his studies was evident, and he was recognized for his exceptional diligence and intellectual abilities. Tragically, in February 1785, Napoleon's father, Carlo Bonaparte, passed away at the age of 38 in Montpellier, France. This loss profoundly affected Napoleon, who had great respect for his father's patriotism and resilience. The death of Carlo, possibly due to stomach cancer, also led to financial difficulties for the Bonaparte family, with Napoleon stepping into a leadership role among his siblings. Despite these personal challenges, Napoleon's education continued. After completing his studies at Brienne, he was admitted to the École Militaire in Paris, specializing in artillery. His proficiency in mathematics and strategic thinking laid the foundation for his future military successes. Lumen learning. These formative years were crucial in shaping Napoleon's identity and ambitions. The combination of personal loss, academic excellence, and exposure to French culture and military practices equipped him with the skills and determination that would later propel him to prominence. Napoleon Bonaparte's 1786 essay on suicide reflects his deep melancholy and disillusionment with both his personal circumstances and the political situation of his homeland, Corsica. Written at the age of 16, the essay reveals his internal struggles and his perception of a world devoid of meaning. In the essay, Napoleon contemplates the futility of life, expressing feelings of isolation and despair. He questions the purpose of enduring a life filled with suffering and the absence of joy, suggesting that death might be a preferable alternative. His words convey a profound sense of hopelessness and a yearning for escape from his emotional turmoil. The essay also delves into his sense of loss regarding Corsica's subjugation by France. Napoleon laments the transformation of his fellow countrymen from proud, free individuals into submissive subjects, highlighting the erosion of their former virtues and dignity. This nationalistic sentiment underscores his deep attachment to Corsica and his disdain for the French oppression of his people. Despite his youth, Napoleon's essay demonstrates an acute awareness of his inner conflicts and the socio-political challenges facing Corsica. It offers a glimpse into the complexities of his character and foreshadows the passionate and often turbulent path he would later follow in his life and career. Napoleon Bonaparte's early writings reveal a complex interplay between personal introspection and fervent Corsican nationalism. At the age of 16, he penned a poignant essay titled Sur le suicide, on suicide, reflecting his profound melancholy and sense of isolation. In this work, he expressed feelings of solitude and despair, contemplating death as an escape from his inner turmoil. The essay also delved into his disillusionment with the state of Corsica, lamenting the island's subjugation under French rule and the erosion of its identity. REWROTE. During his military service in Valence, Napoleon's personal struggles were compounded by the Bonaparte family's financial difficulties. Despite being a commissioned officer, he lived modestly, often relying on the generosity of local establishments. His time was largely consumed by self-study, focusing on subjects like autonomy. The manuscript highlighted the degradation of Corsican society under French occupation and expressed disdain for those who had acquiesced to foreign dominance. These early writings underscore Napoleon's evolving identity as both a military leader and a passionate advocate for Corsican independence. They offer a glimpse into the formative experiences that shaped his later endeavors and his complex relationship with his homeland. Napoleon Bonaparte's early life was marked by his deep attachment to Corsica, his homeland. Born in 1769 in Ajaccio, he left the island at a young age to pursue education in mainland France. Despite his academic success, he faced bullying due to his Corsican origins and Italian accent. At the Royal Military School in Brienne-le-Château, he excelled in subjects like mathematics and history, which later influenced his military strategies. Napoleon.org. In 1785, Napoleon graduated from the École Royale Militaire in Paris and was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the French army. However, his family's financial troubles, stemming from his father's failed business ventures, led him to return to Corsica in 1786. During this time, he began writing Histoire de la Corse, a work that criticized French rule and expressed his nationalist sentiments. Napoleon's writings from this period, such as On Corsica and Letters on Corsica, reflect his passion for Corsican independence and his disdain for French colonialism. He described his countrymen as more debased than animals under French occupation and called for a return to Corsican self-governance. These works highlight his early political convictions and his desire to emulate historical figures who shaped nations through decisive actions. Napoleon.org. Despite his fervent nationalism, Napoleon's views evolved following the French Revolution of 1789. He returned to mainland France, where he continued his military career and gradually aligned himself with revolutionary ideals. His early experiences and writings, however, remained a testament to his enduring connection to Corsica and his initial aspirations for its independence. Napoleon Bonaparte's early years were marked by a profound engagement with Corsican identity and a burgeoning military career. Born in 1769 in Corsica, he was sent to mainland France at the age of 9 to pursue his education. Initially, he faced bullying due to his Corsican origins and Italian accent, but he excelled academically, particularly in mathematics and history. At the age of 15, he graduated from the Royal Military School at Brienne-le-Château and proceeded to the École Royale Militaire in Paris, specializing in artillery. In 1785, at just 16 years old, Napoleon was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the Régiment de la Fer, one of France's oldest artillery regiments. However, he had to take leave to address his family's financial troubles, stemming from his father's failed business ventures. During this period, he continued his studies and began composing a work titled Histoire de la Corse, expressing his disdain for French rule over Corsica. In 1786, Napoleon returned to Corsica, meeting his youngest siblings for the first time. He spent a year on the island, deepening his nationalist sentiments and further developing his manuscript. Despite his growing involvement in Corsican affairs, he was compelled to return to France in 1787 to resume his military duties. Stationed at the artillery school in Auxonne, near Dijon, Napoleon lived frugally and continued his studies, particularly in classical literature and military strategy. He was influenced by ancient historians like Livy and Plutarch, and modeled his military approach on figures such as Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar. During this time, he also experienced his first military action, suppressing a riot in Sur in 1789. This period of his life laid the foundation for his later achievements as a military leader and his complex relationship with Corsican identity and French authority. In the 1780s, France faced a severe financial crisis that contributed to the onset of the French Revolution. The monarchy's involvement in the American War of Independence significantly increased national debt, leading to a fiscal imbalance. Attempts by finance ministers like Jacques Necker to reform the system were met with resistance from the nobility and clergy, who were exempt from many taxes, making it politically challenging to implement changes. The Estates General had not convened in 175 years, and when King Louis XVI called it in 1789, it set the stage for significant political upheaval. Hard money history. Simultaneously, environmental factors exacerbated the crisis. The eruption of the Laki volcano in Iceland from 1783 to 1784 released massive amounts of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere, creating a volcanic haze that led to crop failures and food shortages across Europe. This climatic disruption, combined with poor harvests and rising bread prices, intensified public discontent and unrest. By the spring of 1789, the convergence of economic strain and environmental stress had escalated tensions, culminating in the revolution. Napoleon Bonaparte's early life was marked by a blend of Corsican nationalism, military ambition, and intellectual development. Born on August 15, 1769, in Ajaccio, Corsica, he was the second of 8 children in the Buonaparte family. His father, Carlo Buonaparte, was a lawyer and a fervent Corsican patriot who initially supported the island's independence movement led by Pasquale Paoli. However, after the French defeated Paoli's forces in 1769, Carlo shifted allegiance to the French, securing a scholarship for his son to attend military schools in France. Napoleon.org 2. History +2, The New Yorker +2 History +2. At the age of 9, Napoleon left Corsica for mainland France, enrolling at the military school in Brienne on January 1, 1779. He later continued his education at the École Militaire in Paris, graduating in September 1785. Upon graduation, he was commissioned as a second lieutenant in the La Fer Artillery Regiment. His early military career was characterized by frugality and a deep engagement with classical literature, particularly the works of ancient historians and Enlightenment thinkers. Biblioteca da Universidade Brown, +3, Napoleon.org, +3, Napoleon.org, +3, Biblioteca da Universidade Brown Wikipedia. In May 1789, as the French Revolution began, Napoleon returned to Corsica, where he became involved in the political turmoil. He aligned himself with the Jacobins and supported the revolutionary cause, opposing the island's traditional leadership. This period also saw him drafting Histoire de la Corse, a work expressing his nationalist sentiments and criticism of French colonial rule. Wikipedia +1. Napoleon's early experiences in Corsica and France laid the foundation for his later military and political achievements, shaping his identity as both a Corsican nationalist and a French revolutionary.